Hi everyone, welcome to the third and final lesson of our blockchain training week. My name is Joshua, and today I'll be going over the topic of cryptoeconomics, cryptocurrency, and blockchain elsewhere. After a brief introduction, we'll learn about two different types of attacks and then move on to learn about decentralized finance. Cryptoeconomics refers to the intersecting discipline of cryptography and economics, and studies how economic initiatives are integrated into cryptography. This field studies the design and characterization of the protocols of cryptocurrency, which refer to the basic set of rules that allow data to be shared between computers. Let's quickly recap some of the functions of blockchain that you have learned in previous lessons. Firstly, hashing, where cryptographic hash functions act as puzzles to be solved for validation of data, which is applied in cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, for example. You may also recall data structures, which are methods by which blocks of data are connected to one another using hash pointers, as Ezra has covered in Lesson 1. Signatures are also an important function that provide verification and cannot be forged or disputed. You will also recall the proof of work consensus system by which blocks are added to the blockchain after being mined and approved by verifying the hash message against a set of conditions that must be met. Moreover, the Byzantine general problem would be from Lesson 1 as well. If you need to brush up on any of these concepts, please do access the materials and videos to revise them before continuing with this week's videos. So now on to the economics of blockchain proper, which refers to how blockchain provides financial and economic incentives to its users to get work done. This incorporates basic economics fundamentals such as incentives, penalties, and punishment systems. Firstly, some of the incentives used would be tokens and privileges. Contributors who actively contribute to the blockchain will be rewarded with cryptocurrencies for their efforts, acting as a form of compensation. Another incentive would be the decision-making rights for miners who mine new blocks and decide which transactions are validated, including charging transaction fees. Secondly, there are some disincentives which would include monetary fines paid by bad participants, as well as the revoking of permissions to mine or contribute new blocks to the blockchain. Next, we look at the economic value of cryptocurrencies. Crypto has many similarities with fiat currencies and commodities, mainly being the system of trust that undergirds all of them. People having trust in a commodity or currency, as well as its ability to be a storage of wealth over time, lends a cryptocurrency its value. A trust in the system which acts as the foundation of the currency is also necessary, and this trust stems from the belief in the blockchain and its protocols. The next broad determinant of value is the supply and demand of the cryptocurrency. Supply refers to the amount of tokens available for mining over a period of time, and you remember from Lesson 2 how Bitcoin has a finite supply of 21 million coins, as well as the halving events which occur approximately every 4 years, thereby controlling the supply. The other half of the equation is demand in the market for the cryptocurrency, which is based on its uses, stability, perceived value, and market sentiments. One key example of this would be Bitcoin's rise in price after Tesla announced it would accept Bitcoin payments earlier this year, where there was a surge in demand for the cryptocurrency because it now has more uses. Next, we'll start discussing proof-of-stake attacks. Recall how the proof-of-stake consensus algorithm relies on miners in the network having an ownership stake in this network, which creates a natural incentive to behave honestly to maintain the value of their stake. Unlike proof-of-work systems where it is computationally costly to add new blocks to the blockchain, proof-of-stake gives mining power based on the percentage of coins held by a miner, which requires much less energy. This is an important feature that comes into play later on. POS attacks aim to disrupt networks that use POS consensus mechanisms, and these include nothing-at-stake attacks, long-range attacks, stake grinding, as well as generic token, wallet, ICO, or exchange attacks. Firstly, a nothing-at-stake attack is a theoretical security problem that occurs because of the low computational cost of mining the blockchain, where validators have a financial incentive to mine on every fork of the blockchain that occurs, leading to several security issues that could expose the system to vulnerabilities. Here's a more detailed outline of how this occurs. Let's say Gary is a hacker who wants to create a fork in order to double spend and make off with some profit. Firstly, he would create a fork in the blockchain, which could actually arise intentionally through malicious intent or even unintentionally if two blocks are proposed simultaneously by honest miners. Secondly, because there's no cost to mining and each miner wants to ensure that they get their reward, the other miners, Joshua, Ezra, and Sissi, will act out of self-interest and mine all of the forks simultaneously. This is so that they can get their reward no matter which fork wins. However, Gary has sneakily decided that while they are mining both chains, he will focus all his computational power on mining his own fork only, thereby making it much longer than the other forks and allowing him to claim the rewards. Even though the nothing at stake problem has yet to occur in the real world, there are some potential mitigations through proprietary protocols that aim to preempt this problem. For instance, Ethereum's new Casper POS protocol utilizes the security deposit-based consensus protocol, where nodes who wish to validate transactions need to place a security deposit. This deposit is forfeited if the validator produces anything invalid, along with their right to continue participating in the consensus. This naturally aligns the miner's interest to behave honestly. The next attack we'll discuss is the long-range or 1% attack. This occurs when a malicious party creates a branch on the blockchain starting from the Genesis block and aims to overtake the main chain. They will normally populate this branch with different transactions and blocks, hence the alternate name of revision history attacks. Several factors contribute to this attack being easier to execute, such as weak subjectivity and costless simulation. First off, weak subjectivity refers to the phenomenon where certain nodes of a blockchain network are unable to differentiate which branch is the main chain after being provided with the Genesis block. This leads them to identify several branches as the main chain. This is normally affecting new nodes or nodes that are brought online after some time of being offline. In a POW consensus protocol, one could use the longest chain rule to distinguish which branch is the main chain. Since resources are required to add a block to the chain, it essentially identifies the main chain by seeing how much work has been invested in a branch. However, because of the negligible amount of resources needed for a POS consensus mechanism, the longest chain rule cannot be applied to POS systems. The second factor leading to this attack is costless simulation. Since block generation is costless using the validator stake, validators can take transactions from the transaction pool and publish them in a block, which allows them to intentionally create up-to-date branches effortlessly, potentially overtaking the main chain. For the mechanism of attack, we can see from the two factors above that this allows an attacker to fork the blockchain at the Genesis block. Oops, sorry, this is the right slide. We can see from the factors above that this allows an attacker to fork the blockchain at the Genesis block and populate a new branch with an alternative history. This allows multiple branches to be present, many of which can be the same length, and new nodes are unable to distinguish these branches. This can lead to the newly crafted branches overtaking the main chain, if the new nodes keep on adding to these fork branches. Some potential mitigation strategies for long-range attacks would include implementing the longest chain rule to counter weak subjectivity. Although this works best for POW protocols, it can be used in conjunction with other techniques to make it a viable solution for POS protocols. Another solution would be moving checkpoints, where only the latest X number of blocks can be reorganized. Depending on the protocol, it could range from 1 month in cryptocurrencies like Peercoin to as short as a few hours in NXT. This solution is actually widely used by existing POS protocols. Using moving checkpoints could prevent long-range attacks, as the attack and history revision cannot start at the Genesis block, but instead starts only in the more recent blocks. In that case, short-range attacks can still be executed, but their impact is more limited, hence the name. The third type of POS attack we'll look at today is stake grinding attacks, where attackers can hold a small amount of stake and go through the history of the blockchain to find places where their stake wins a block. This will then modify the next block header in order to increase the probability of their coins generating a valid block subsequently. Some potential mitigation strategies for stake grinding attacks would include requirements for validators to deposit their coins in advance, as well as using a scheme where they commit to information far in advance and can only publish that specific information in the block. This thereby prevents them from modifying the block headers to manipulate the probability of them winning a block. They can also use information that is less easily manipulated to generate this randomness, or systems can even require validators to collaboratively generate the random value, thereby working against manipulation unless a majority of these validators collude. Finally, let's look at token, wallet, exchange, and ICO attacks. There can be many different types of attacks which target varying aspects of the blockchain or the individual cryptocurrency. Some examples would be the theft of $7.4 million worth of Ethereum during the CoinDash ICO launch, which was achieved through a simple website compromise. As you can see here, CoinDash had actually posted its wallet address for investors to send their funds to. However, the hacker had compromised the website and changed its text to a wallet that they directly controlled. Another example of an exchange would be Liquid, one of Japan's most popular exchanges, which lost almost $100 million in a recent cyber attack in August this year. They lost $45 million in Ethereum and $52 million in Bitcoin, XRP, Tether, and other stablecoins. Other more common wallet attacks include using Trojans or software to gain access to wallet credentials, similar to how cyber attacks on bank accounts are executed. This brings us to the end of our first video in Lesson 3. Thank you for watching video 1, and I'll see you again in the next part. Bye-bye.